Alrighty, 7.4 on the floor. Part 2. Now we're going to get into more of the multiplying. We're going to be mixing together, add and subtracting with the multiplying, while still doing that simplifying routine. So, recall square root of 3 times square root of 7. We can just say, oh, that's 3 times 7, which gives us a square root of 21. Super. What if it's the square root of 3 times the quantity, square root of 7 plus square root of 2? Yeehaw. We are back to the old distributive. So you get the square root of, I'm going to go right for it, 21, plus the square root of 6. Can't mix them together, they're different stuff, but we have distributed, got rid of the parentheses, which is always a simplifying thing to do. Let's make it a little more interesting. Square root of 5 times square root of 5 minus 2. Do that thing that you do. Now, this is cool in my mind. It's the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, which is 25. Square root of minus the whole number 2 is just going to be hanging out outside in front of the square root of 5. And then you look at this guy and say, oh, I know what to do with that. That's perfect square. Sure enough. So that becomes 5 minus 2 square root of 5. Here's your final answer. Now notice if you had noticed this, that when you do the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, that's the same thing as saying, oh, that's the square root of 5 squared. And those bonk each other. Those cancel each other out. So that's why that works. The 2 cancels out with the square root, and you're left with 5. So that's why you get this answer. Okay? Now how about this one? Bring x back into the play. What do you think you get here? Give it a whirl. Just give it a shot. See what you get. Alright. I can sort of see that, I'm doing that distributive thing, and these guys, they're going to cancel each other out. It's going to cancel the square root of out. I'm going to go ahead and write the step out, though, square root of x squared, which I know is x. I know that. So the next part is, well, how about this guy, the square root of x times square root of I? Oh, those will go together. They'll just get slammed underneath the square root. Bring down your minus, and you'll just get the square root of xy. Is that what you got? That's what I got. Alright, now the fun is really starting to begin. Woohoo, foil time. So with roots, nothing you can't handle. We're going to do the 5 times the 3 and the 5 times the square root of x and the square root of x times 3 and the square root of x times square root of x. Cool McCool, we get a little face there, right? A little Picasso action. And then let's do it. So the 5 times the 3 makes the 15. So that's the first half. Not the first half, the first part. The firsts, it's the f's. Now let's do the O, the outers. The 5 times the square root of x, which is just 5 times the square root of x. Now we need a sign here. That's plus, because everybody's positive here. So we're halfway done. Now let's do the inners. Square root of x times 3. These guys. And that just gives you 3 square root of x. Again with the plus aronio. And then last but not least, the last term. Square root of x times square root of x, which is the square root of x squared, which is just x. And as usual with FOIL, the middles can combine. Often that happens. Doesn't have to be that way, but 90% of the time. So how many square root of x do we have? We have 8 of them. Bring down the x, bring down the 15. Good to go. So there's your new FOIL thing. Crazy, huh? Alrighty, your turn. Bring the x's back into play. This one is this is a cool one. You'll notice square root of x plus square root of y times the square root of x minus square root of y. What do you get? You should get some nice little canceling in there. Go, give it a go. All right? Did you get something cool? Let's do the FOIL thing. Square root of x times square root of x is x. Square root of x times minus square root of y is minus the square root of xy, or yx. All right, we're halfway there. We did the first and the outer. Let's do the inner. Square root of y times the square root of x. It's positive. And I'm going to put it in numerical order instead of y times x, just so I can see it's the same stuff. And oh my gosh, one's minus, one's plus. All right, we'll get to that next. And the last, square root of y times minus the square root of y is going to be minus y, or the square root of y squared. Cool McCool. And oh my gosh, look at that. This guy and this guy cancel out. So what you're left with is x minus y. Cool. All right, let's do one more for the road, and then we'll call it a lesson. Alrighty, there it is. This one's kind of interesting, as you'll see. So let's give it a go. You want to try it first? If you do, go ahead and pause and work on it. Otherwise, I'm going to dig right in. First off, no shortcuts here. If you remember, when you got a plus in the middle, you can't bring the square to each one. You got to write it out twice. So what we got is square root of 6 plus 2, square root of 2, times the square root of 6 plus the square root of 2. That's what squared means. So then, let's see what's going to happen. Well, let's do it. Square root of 6 times square root of 6. Oops, I wanted that to be green. That's going to give us square root of 36, which is 6. Cool. Next, square root of 6 times square root of 2 is plus the square root of 12. Halfway there. Now the inners is plus the square root of 12. Cool. And last but not least, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is a square root of 4. Or we could just go right for 2. Alrighty. So we got 8. Put the 6 and the 2 together. This guy and this guy makes 8. And then the square root of 12 plus the square root of 12 is plus 2 square root of 12. So you put that as your answer, and my math lab says, oh, sorry for playing. Well, not sorry for playing, but sorry, thank you for playing, but that's not correct. You need to reduce all roots, and wouldn't you know it, I look at 12 and say, oh my God, this is 4 times 3. So what we get is equals 8, and that therefore comes outside to be 2 on the outside. With the 2 that's out there already, for your final answer of 8 plus 4. Square root of what's left inside? Just the 3. And that, my friends, is the answer. All right, so hope that works in your brains. So there you go. We're done with 7.4. Moving right along. See you in class.